Las Vegas, Nevada, November 15, 2003. Saturday night, 9:47 p.m. MGM Grand Garden Arena. 16,000 seats filled with the kind of crowd that generates electricity that can be felt 3 blocks away. The air is thick with premium cigar smoke from Cuban cohibas, expensive cologne that costs more per ounce than most people earn per hour, and the particular energy that comes when serious money meets serious violence. This is boxing at its highest level, where careers are made or destroyed under lights bright enough to power small cities, where legends are born and myths die under the unforgiving scrutiny of pay-per-view cameras. The crowd represents the full spectrum of fight culture. High-rolling casino whales who bet 6 figures on single rounds. Hollywood celebrities who attend for the spectacle and social media content. Former champions who understand exactly what's about to unfold and current champions studying potential future opponents. Street-level boxing fanatics who saved for months to afford nosebleed seats. All united by the ancient human fascination with watching 2 trained killers try to destroy each other within the bounds of agreed-upon rules. In the red corner stands Marco Antonio Barrera, El Terrible, the Terrible One, 507.26 pounds of perfectly conditioned Mexican warrior sculpted by 13 years of professional violence and 10,000 hours of gym work that would break most human beings. 43 professional fights, 39 wins, 29 knockouts that turned hopeful contenders into cautionary tales whispered in boxing gyms from Mexico City to Manila. 2 losses, both to legends who caught him on nights when the gods of boxing favored different men. The WBC Super Featherweight Champion of the World, a title that represents more than gold and leather. It represents mastery over one of boxing's most competitive divisions, where the fighters are big enough to generate knockout power, but small enough to maintain hand speed that can end fights in the blink of an eye. Barrera has defended this title against killers from 4 continents, African speed demons from Ghana, who throw punches faster than most people can think. Technical masters from Cuba whose amateur backgrounds include Olympic medals and world championship. Power punchers from Puerto Rico who hit like sledgehammers wrapped in silk gloves. All have tried to take what Barrera built through blood, sweat, and systematic brutality. All have failed. Some through knockout, others through decision, a few through referee stoppage when their corners decided that their fighters' long-term health mattered more than short-term glory. But all have learned the same lesson. Marco Antonio Barrera doesn't just beat opponents. He breaks them. Physically, mentally, spiritually. He takes their confidence and feeds it through a meat grinder of Mexican boxing tradition that dates back to Ruben Olivares, Julio Cesar Chavez, and Salvador Sanchez. Barrera has been fighting professionally since he was 17 years old, an age when most American teenagers are worried about homework and prom dates. 13 years of systematic violence conducted under the bright lights of major arenas, where every mistake gets replayed in slow motion and every weakness gets exploited by opponents desperate enough to risk brain damage for the chance at life-changing money. He's faced every style the sport has to offer, every trick, every desperate attempt by smaller men to steal what he's built through discipline that borders on masochism. Tonight should be routine. Another mandatory defense against another hungry contender trying to use his name as a stepping stone to greater things. The challenger is Manny Pacquiao, a Filipino southpaw with an impressive record against regional opposition in Asia. Fast hands according to the scouting report. Good power for his size. Technically sound, aggressive but not reckless. The kind of fighter who could give Barrera a good workout before being systematically broken down by superior experience and ring IQ. But Barrera has heard this description before. Every few months, another next big thing arrives from some remote corner of the boxing world with impressive highlight reels and promotional hype generated by managers looking to cash in on the American appetite for exotic fighting talent. They come with perfect records against unknown opposition, speed that looks devastating on video, power that can drop regional-level fighters, and the kind of hunger that comes from growing up poor in countries where boxing represents the only realistic path to financial security. The real test comes when they step into the ring with someone who's been there. Someone who understands the difference between beating up smaller opposition in front of partisan crowds and facing a true champion in a neutral venue where politics don't matter and only performance counts. Someone who's learned to fight through adversity, pain, and the kind of pressure that makes strong men crumble. Barrera's cornermen are relaxed tonight. Head trainer Rudy Perez has been studying video footage of Pacquiao for 6 weeks, breaking down every fight, every round, every exchange, looking for patterns, weaknesses, tells that reveal what the Filipino does when hurt, when tired, when frustrated, What Perez has found is a skilled but predictable fighter who relies too heavily on athleticism and not enough on ring intelligence. Pacquiao comes forward in straight lines, creating the kind of angles that experienced counterpunchers dream about. He throws combinations in recognizable patterns, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, that work beautifully against fighters who retreat and cover, but become liabilities against someone who knows how to slip, counter, and make opponents pay for their aggression. Against Filipino and Thai fighters who respect his power and fight defensively, these patterns are devastating. Against a Mexican boxer puncher who's built his reputation on making aggressive fighters pay for their mistakes, they become opportunities. The game plan is elegant in its simplicity. Let Pacquiao come forward and expose himself. Use footwork and upper body movement to make him miss by inches. Counter with hard shots to the body that will slow his feet and compromise his punching power. Mexican fighters have been using this strategy for generations. Absorb what you have to, avoid what you can, and systematically break down aggressive opponents through superior conditioning and boxing IQ. By the middle rounds, Perez predicts, Pacquiao's speed will diminish. The body shots will have taken their toll on his stamina and his willingness to engage at close quarters. His combinations will become shorter and less frequent. His legs will betray him, carrying him into punching positions where Barrera can land the kind of shots that end fights definitively. Then El Terrible will take over and do what he's done to 39 other men who thought they could take what he's spent 13 years building through blood, sweat, and an understanding of violence that goes deeper than technique or natural ability. But as they touch gloves in the center of the ring, Barrera notices something that the video footage didn't capture. The way Pacquiao's eyes track movement. Not just looking at his face or hands, but processing everything. The footwork, the shoulder position, the weight distribution, reading the entire body like a chess master reading a board position. Most fighters see punches, good fighters see combinations, great fighters see the setup before the combination begins. Barrera realizes, in that split second before the opening bell, that Pacquiao sees something else entirely, something he can't identify. The bell rings, round one unfolds exactly as Perez predicted. Pacquiao comes forward in straight lines, Barrera moves laterally, making him turn, disrupting his rhythm. When the Filipino throws combinations, Barrera covers and counters with sharp uppercuts and hooks to the ribs. Classic Mexican boxing. Pressure meeting counter pressure. Experience controlling youth. But something is wrong. Pacquiao's punches aren't landing clean, but they're closer than they should be. His footwork isn't perfect, but he's adjusting faster than fighters should be able to adjust. When Barrera throws his best counters, the shots that have dropped bigger, stronger men, Pacquiao is moving away before the punches reach their targets, not anticipating, reacting to movements so subtle that even Barrera doesn't realize he's making. By the end of round one, Barrera sits on his stool with a frown, not worried, puzzled. The Filipino is doing things that don't make sense technically, but they're working. His trainer shouts instructions, but Barrera is processing something else. The speed isn't just fast hand, it's fast processing, fast recognition, fast adjustment to things that happen too quickly for normal reaction time. Round two begins differently. Pacquiao doesn't come forward in straight lines anymore, he's moving at angle, creating attack positions that force Barrera to turn in uncomfortable directions. When the Mexican tries to counter, the Filipino isn't where he was when the counter began. Not running, not retreating, just occupying different space with timing so precise it seems impossible. 47 seconds into the second round, it happens. Barrera throws his best combination, left hook to the body to lower the guard, right cross to the chin to finish the exchange. It's worked against 40 opponents. The timing is perfect, the technique is flawless, the power is devastating. The left hook hits air. Pacquiao has moved inside the arc where it has no power. The right cross travels through space where Pacquiao's head was, but isn't anymore. And suddenly, impossibly, Barrera is the one getting hit. 4 punches land before he can process what's happening. Left uppercut to the solar plexus that empties his lungs. Right cross to the temple that makes his vision blur. Left hook to the ribs that feels like being hit with a baseball bat. Right uppercut to the chin that lifts his feet off the canvas. He doesn't go down. 13 years of professional fighting have conditioned him to absorb punishment that would hospitalize normal men. But for the first time in his career, Marco Antonio Barrera doesn't understand what just happened to him. The combination took less than 2 seconds. 4 perfectly placed shots with power that defies every principle of physics he understands. Pacquiao weighs 15 pounds less than him, has shorter arms, less muscle mass. By every measurement that matters in boxing, His punches should feel like mosquito bites compared to the heavy hitters Barrera has faced. Instead, they feel like getting hit by a car. But more disturbing than the power is the precision. Pacquiao didn't just throw 4 quick punches. He targeted 4 different anatomical points with surgical accuracy. Solar plexus to disrupt breathing, temple to affect vision, ribs to damage structure, chin to test consciousness. Each shot designed to create a specific physiological response. Each one perfectly timed to land when Barrera was most vulnerable to that particular type of damage. This isn't luck. This isn't random violence. This is systematic dismantling by someone who understands human anatomy better than most doctors. The round continues, but Barrera's confidence is shaken. Every time he engages, Pacquiao finds openings that shouldn't exist. Every time he defends, the Filipino attacks from angles that don't appear on any boxing instructional video. It's like fighting someone who's playing by different rules, not breaking the rules, operating under a completely different understanding of what the rules allow. In the corner between rounds, trainer Rudy Perez tries to adjust. He's faster than we thought. We need to slow him down, rough him up on the inside, make it ugly. But Barrera shakes his head. It's not just speed, Rudy. This guy, he sees things before I do them. Like he knows what I'm going to throw before I decide to throw it. Perez frowns. In 30 years of training fighters, he's never heard a boxer describe an opponent this way. That's impossible. Nobody can read mine. Barrera wipes blood from his nose, then explain what just happened in there. Round 3 begins with Barrera trying to implement the new strategy. Clinch work, holding, making it messy, using his experience and size advantage to neutralize Pacquiao's speed and timing. For the first minute, it works. The Filipino can't generate power in close quarters, can't use his footwork when they're locked together. But then Pacquiao adjusts again. Instead of trying to break free from the clinches, he starts working inside them. Short shots to the ribs, uppercuts that travel 3 inches but land with devastating accuracy. He's not trying to knock Barrera out anymore. He's wearing him down, systematically targeting the exact spots that will compromise his structure and endurance. By the middle of round 3, Barrera realizes something that chills him to the bone. Pacquiao isn't just fast, he's intelligent, not book smart. Combat intelligent. He's downloading information about Barrera's defensive patterns, processing it in real time, and adapting his attack strategies faster than seems humanly possible. Every fighter learns during a fight. They adjust to what their opponent is doing. They make tactical changes between rounds. But this is different. Pacquiao is evolving within exchanges, making micro-adjustments during combinations, changing the trajectory of punches while they're in motion based on how Barrera is moving to defend against them. It's like fighting someone with a direct connection to his nervous system, someone who can see the electrical signals traveling from his brain to his muscles and respond to them before they become physical actions. Round 4 is when Barrera's world changes forever. He throws a jab. Simple, basic, the kind of punch he's thrown 10,000 times in his career. Nothing special about the technique or timing. Just a standard jab to measure distance and set up something bigger. Pacquiao doesn't block it, doesn't slip it, doesn't duck under it. Instead, he steps inside the jab past the point where it can hurt him and delivers a counter combination that rewrites Barrera's understanding of what's possible in boxing. Left hook to the liver, right cross to the temple, left uppercut to the chin, right hook to the jaw. 4 shots in the time it normally takes to throw 2. Each one landing with power that seems to multiply rather than diminish as the combination continues. The liver shot is what breaks him. Barrera has been hit to the liver before. Every professional boxer has. It's part of the job. You learn to absorb it, fight through it, use your conditioning to minimize the damage. But this is different. Pacquiao's left hook lands with such precision that it feels like being shot. Not the dull ache of a typical body shot, but sharp, paralyzing agony that radiates through his entire torso. His legs buckle, not from the other punches to the head, but from the liver shot. His hands drop automatically, involuntarily, as his body tries to protect the damaged organ. And in that moment of vulnerability, Pacquiao's final 3 punches land clean. Barrera doesn't go down. His pride and 13 years of conditioning keep him on his feet. But inside, something fundamental has broken. Not just physically, psychologically. For the first time in his professional career, he's been dominated by someone smaller than him. Someone who makes him feel helpless. Someone who's operating on a level he didn't know existed. The bell rings to end round 4. Barrera staggers to his corner on unsteady legs. Perez takes one look at his fighter's face and knows the truth. They're not winning this fight. They're not even competitive in this fight. They're being systematically destroyed by a man who fights like he can see the future. "What do you want to do?" Perez asks quietly. Barrera sits on the stool, breathing heavily, blood trickling from his nose and mouth. His ribs ache with every breath. His vision is slightly blurred from the shots to the temple. His legs feel unreliable beneath him. But it's the psychological damage that hurts most. For 13 years, he's been the man other fighters feared. The nightmare that ended careers and dreams. Tonight he's discovered what it feels like to be on the other side of that equation. To face someone so superior that continuing seems pointless. "I can't hurt him," Barrera says quietly. "Everything I throw he sees coming. Every combination I start, he's already moved. It's like fighting a ghost." Perez has never heard his fighter talk this way. Marco Antonio Barrera doesn't quit, doesn't make excuses, doesn't admit weakness. But tonight, facing Manny Pacquiao, he's encountering limitations he didn't know he had. Round 5 begins with Barrera trying desperately to find something that works. He changes his stance, switches his guard, alters his rhythm. Nothing matters. Pacquiao adjusts to every change almost instantly, like he's fighting the same opponent he's been studying for years. Instead of seeing these variations for the first time, the end comes in round 11. Not from a knockout punch, from accumulated damage, from the systematic destruction of Barrera's will to continue, from the realization that he's completely outmatched by someone who makes professional boxing look like a different sport entirely. The referee stops the fight. TKO. Marco Antonio Barrera's first stoppage loss in 44 professional fights. The end of his reputation as an unstoppable force. The beginning of his understanding that boxing has evolved beyond what he learned in 13 years of competition. In the dressing room afterward, as team doctors examine his injuries under harsh fluorescent lights that make every bruise look worse than it is, Barrera sits in contemplative silence. The physical damage is manageable. Bruised ribs that will ache for weeks. Swollen jaw that will make eating difficult for a few days. Minor cuts around both eyes that required only butterfly bandages to close. Nothing serious. Nothing that won't heal completely given proper rest and medical attention. The kind of damage that comes with the territory when you make your living through controlled violence. But the psychological damage runs deeper than any physical wound. It's the kind of injury that doesn't show up on medical examinations, but changes how a fighter sees himself and his place in the sport's hierarchy. For 13 years, Barrera had been the nightmare that ended other fighters' dreams, the immovable object that broke careers and shattered confidence. Tonight he discovered what it feels like to be on the other side of that equation, to face someone so superior that continuing felt not just pointless, but potentially dangerous to his long-term health. "I've never fought anyone like that," he tells his trainer, speaking quietly so other members of his team won't hear the defeat in his voice. "It wasn't just that he was faster or stronger, he was smarter. He understood things about fighting that I don't understand, like he was playing chess while I was playing checkers." Rudy Perez nods, his face reflecting the confusion that comes with watching a game plan disintegrate in real time. In 30 years of training fighters, he's never seen anything like what Pacquiao demonstrated tonight. The speed was impressive, the power surprising. But it was the intelligence that set him apart, the ability to process information and adapt strategies within exchanges. "He wasn't just reacting to what you were doing," Perez observes. "He was anticipating it. Reading your body language, your breathing patterns, the way you shift weight before throwing punches, like he could see the signals traveling from your brain to your muscles." Years later, Barrera would describe that night as the moment he realized boxing was evolving, that fighters like Pacquiao represented not just superior athleticism but a completely different approach to combat sports. "Manny didn't just beat me," Barrera would tell interviewers. "He showed me that everything I thought I knew about fighting was incomplete. He was operating on a level I didn't know existed. It wasn't personal, it was educational. He taught me how much I still had to learn." The loss would haunt Barrera for months, but not from damaged pride. It was the questions it raised. If someone could be that much better than him, what did that say about his understanding of boxing? How many assumptions were based on outdated thinking?